everybody, thanks for joining me here on the Greetery YouTube channel. And coming up, I'm going to be doing a series of watercolor videos using some of our latest products from the Greetery. I'm going to be showing you how to watercolor some of the images from the Hand in Hand stamp set, as well as the Botanica Succulents dies. I did several projects with some watercoloring on them, and I've had lots of requests for tutorials, so we're going to be digging into that. But before I do that, I thought it might be a good idea to just do a quick video on some of my favorite watercolor supplies. I get lots of questions about what type of paper is the best, what type of brushes, paint, that sort of thing. Now, I'm not an expert by any means. I consider myself very much a beginner, but these are just some of the things that I have found that I like to use and that work really well for me. And so I thought I'd just share them with you in case you're wondering what I'm using in my watercolor tutorial videos that I'll be doing upcoming here shortly. So first of all, papers. It is so much better to use cotton papers than some of the inexpensive papers that you can pick up anywhere. The results are just so much better, so much more worth it. The only drawback probably to using cotton paper is, of course, it's a little more expensive, and also sometimes the color is not as white as I wish it was, but I think the blending ability and just the results are so much better with a cotton paper than with some of the more expensive just wood pulp papers. So probably my favorite paper to use would be Arches Cold Press. I buy it 140-pound weight, and I always just buy the 9x12 pads. You can pick these up for around $10 or $11 on sale with a Hobby Lobby coupon, or also from like Dick Blick or Jerry's Artorama. So really it's worth the cost to put a little more into it. You know, the results are so much better. Another paper that I do kind of like, I don't like it as much as the Arches. I feel like the paints and the colors don't flow as well on this paper as the Arches, but it's okay. It's quite a bit less expensive. It's bee paper, bee watercolor paper, like a bumblebee, BEE, and I pick mine up on Amazon. You can get a pack of, I think it's 100 sheets of 6x9, or this is 50 sheets, sorry, 6x9 size for, well, I don't think it's like $14 or $15. And so really, if you're doing cards, this gets you 100 card fronts. So that is really pretty inexpensive. And it is cotton paper. It's going to be much better than the kind of cheap wood pulp papers. It's not my favorite. I don't think the colors, like I said, flow as well and blend as well as it does on the Arches paper. But it's kind of a great thing to have on hand for practicing, or just, yeah, just a more inexpensive alternative. Alright, so let's move on to paints. I have a few different sets that I reach for different things depending on what I'm doing. This first set is a pretty inexpensive set. It's a Kuretake set. It's by the same makers of the Zig Kuretake pens, the watercolor pens. So the colors are really vibrant and really bright. You get a pretty good mix of colors in this set. And it's pretty inexpensive. It's, I think, around, if I remember right, like $30 or so. And these are big pans. These are like full pans. And so there's quite a bit of paint here. And it's really kind of fun. The one thing about this set is that the paints do tend to be a little more opaque than some of your like higher quality watercolor paints. But it depends on what you're doing, but it can work just fine too. But just keep in mind that they're maybe a little more opaque than some of the other paints out there. Another set that I like, this is probably my most used set. This is a Mission Gold set, and it's actually a liquid watercolor. I purchased the whole set together, so you get I think it's 36 different colors, and they come in tubes, but then it also comes with this palette, and so there's enough spaces in the palette for all of the colors. And so what I did as soon as I got it is I just went ahead and filled the palette with all the different colors, and then you just go ahead and let it dry. Let it sit for a day or two and those paints dry in the palette, and then it's ready to go and ready to use. And so you can see the palette does absorb color a little bit. It's kind of a slick surface, so when I got mine, I went over the surface with just a little bit of sandpaper to roughen it up. Otherwise, the paint tends to bead up really bad on that slick surface. And so I sanded mine a little bit, but then you can see that it does, I need to wash it right now. It's kind of dirty, but you can see it's well loved. But it does kind of absorb the color, and so your palette's not going to stay nice and bright white if you choose to sand it a little bit to give it a little texture. I actually prefer that. I don't really like it when the paint beads up a lot. It's hard to see the color. It's kind of hard to mix and blend when that happens, and so I chose to roughen it up a little bit. I also have a couple tubes kind of floating around here, loose tubes, and these are Daniel Smith colors. I just have a few colors here and there that I'm slowly adding to my collection. They are quite expensive when you buy the tubes that way. This Mission Gold set isn't so bad. I think it's like 70-ish, $70 to $80 for the 36 color set, which it's pretty good. I mean, the colors are really vibrant. I really like them. They're very transparent, which I like, and really fun to mix and blend. So I've been really happy with this set. Another product that I use a bit is this is a set from Prima. It's their watercolor confections, and this is the Pastel Dreams set. And I purchased this set because I think it kind of filled a gap with my other sets that I have, in that I didn't really feel like I had a lot of really great pastel colors. Obviously, you know, the more water you add to your brighter colors, the softer it comes out, but then you also end up with watery colors. And so I kind of wanted just some pale colors to add to my collection, some really soft pinks and that sort of thing. And so I picked up this set, and I really do like this set as well. It's different, definitely a different look. The colors are very different from the other two sets that I just showed you, and they have other sets as well, different color palettes, and so I would love to try some of those someday. I've been happy with the quality of the paint. I think the colors are nice and bright, and things blend really nicely, so that's kind of a fun addition too. Now, as for brushes, the main brushes that I will probably be using in my video tutorials are the Princeton Neptune brushes. I really like these brushes. I don't have very many of them. I have this is the main one that I use. This is a number 6 round. I have a couple sizes in the round. I like them because they are a watercolor brush, but they're not too soft. I don't like real floppy bristles, and these have a little bit of spring to them, but yet they're high enough quality that they hold quite a bit of water. And so that's kind of, to me, a nice balance between having bristles that are really floppy. I've tried some watercolor brushes that just don't have enough spring in the bristle, and I find them a little bit hard to use, and so this is kind of a nice balance between that. And then the other brushes that I use, these are just some really inexpensive student grade kind of brushes, classroom grade almost. I picked these up at Jerry's Artorama. They are Creative Inspirations is the brand, and what I like about these is they are, like I said, inexpensive, but sometimes, depending on what techniques you're doing, kind of an inexpensive brush that doesn't hold as much water can work really well for techniques like blending, and I will be showing you some of that in the upcoming videos. Sometimes when you do some blending and shading, you don't want a lot of water in your brush, and so these more inexpensive brushes that don't tend to hold as much water can work really well for those techniques. And I have these in a couple sizes. This smaller one is a 2 and this larger one is a 4, and I'll be using this size 2 quite a bit in the hand-in-hand videos that I plan on doing for kind of adding some shading and detail to the small, tiny areas in those images. Alright guys, so that kind of wraps up the three main watercolor things, paper, brushes, and paints that I like to use, and they're kind of my favorites right now and what I will be using in the upcoming videos. So I hope that helps you. Don't feel like you need to go out and purchase these exact supplies to follow along on the tutorials. You can use what you have on hand, and I'm sure it'll be just fine. So thanks for watching, thanks for joining me. This has been Betsy for the Greetery.